Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening as we are delving into, have to get my Bible, as we're delving into this week, trusting God's process. Tonight's topic is how God perceives your trust. So just gonna wait maybe just a second or so. I see that all systems are go. Give me a time to, oops, yikes. I'm over here putting the Bible on top of things and doing stuff I shouldn't be doing. So I'm just going to pull up tonight's scripture and we will get going in the process. Tonight's scripture is going to be coming from Psalms, the 20th chapter and the 7th verse. And I am going to be reading it out of my trusty Bible. I have for those who are like looking at study Bibles and the types of study Bibles, I have a Schofield and I have it in the King James Version and I also have it in the New International Version. Hi, Sister Marilyn. How are you doing this evening? Forgive me as I'm moving stuff around, my various drinks around. So there are several different study Bible versions. I prefer Schofield. It's what I grew up on. I kind of like that particular version. I don't think you can find it now. So definitely, research those different types of things. And if you guys want me to go over, the different types of study Bibles and the benefits and the things that, you would like to do with it, definitely let me know. And we can definitely, do so because I think it's important so that you can know the types of study Bibles, what, they're good for and things like that. And we can just go through a whole, have a whole class on the Bibles and, different ones and different versions, what they do. Also the concordance, the Bible dictionary. There's so many ways for you to study, but we are going to get this on. And like I say, on and popping, as I always say, on and popping. So again, this week's devotional is focused on trusting God's process. And tonight's topic is how God perceives your trust. It's not only important to understand why trust is important as a whole, but it's also why specifically trust is important. Psalms 27 identifies that many will trust in the world and the things it has to offer, but few will trust in God. And perhaps it's for this very reason trust is so important to God, because few do it. And, trust is a hard thing for most people. It is, because again, when you think of trust, you think about it on the terms of the human basis, is on the human relationship. And many of us have been hurt by those we've trusted, those we've put our trust into, by those that we've, allowed into our inner circle. So therefore, for those we see, it's like, well, we can see them. How can I trust someone that I can't see, that I can't touch, that I can't feel, that I can't physically see having a conversation with? How can I trust that person? And so when you trust in God, He takes it very seriously. It is of the utmost importance. And when I say that, it's because so few people do it. He is not going to abuse it. He's not going to misuse it. He is going to use the trust that you've bestowed upon Him to build you up, to put you where you need to be. So again, He perceives it as the utmost thing of respect and importance, because so few people actually do commit to trusting Him. I mean, for a long time I did, because it's like, I couldn't understand, how can I trust somebody who decided to allow all of these bad things happen to me as a child, or to, allow me to be hurt and, disappointed and things like that. And that was because I put my trust in them. I put my trust in man. I put my trust in things and situations instead of him. And once I put my trust in God, I have not been disappointed. I'm going to say that again. I have not been disappointed in God. When I've put my trust in his process and how he does things, I've never been disappointed. The only time I become disappointed is when I take the focus off of him and I try to decide to do things the way I want to do them, when I want to do them, and with my own understanding. That is when I'm disappointed. That is when I'm hurt. That is when I'm misguided. That is when I'm abused, because I took my trust out of him and put it in a situation and put it in my own thoughts and my own feelings and how I wanted to be perceived, quote unquote. Now, I'm going to read Psalms, the 20th chapter and the 7th verse. And it says, some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we will remember the name of the Lord our God. Basically, you can trust in all the things in the world, but I'm going to trust in God. I'm going to do the things that God has instructed and has told me to do. Now, trust is an indicator of our heart's condition, reflecting where our loyalty and commitment lies. Now, there was a point when, when people say, Lord, search my heart, you got to be real careful when you ask him to do that, because he already knows your heart. He knows what you think before you think it. He knows spiritually deep down the things that are bothering you and have the utmost concern of you. And I'm just trying to make sure I didn't drop my whole thing of water over there. So everything else is fine. But maybe my phone. Oh gosh. Give me a moment, because if not, okay, great. Let's put this where it belongs. Up here where I can see it. The trusty phone, if you this lovely little thing that everybody doesn't see. Another enemy move. I love how when I begin to get on this roll and begin to start teaching, how those little distractions he'll try to do to get me off track, it's not going to work. Like, come on, it's just not going to work. So as I was saying, when we ask God to search our heart, when we say that, we should really be ready for him to do that. Because what we think we don't say, what we think we don't do, what we think we're hiding, he sees and knows. So you can't say to him, Lord, search my heart. It's pure. That I'm all about you. That I am living for you. And you are thinking some of the most vile, evil, mean things. So I made that. I'm not even going to say it was a mistake. Let me clear it up. I asked the Lord to do that one time. And not only was I so shocked at the outcome, I just didn't realize there was some things I just never said, but I was harboring that resentment in my heart, and it was just festering. So therefore, it was having an issue and a problem with my loyalty to God. Because even though I'm saying that, I trust you, Lord, I'm going to be nice to this person, I'm going to do the things that you're telling me to do, there was a part deep down inside that, even though I never vocalized it, it was hindering my true walk. It was hindering the blessings, because within my heart was my true condition on how I felt on certain situations. So when he says that, when the Bible says that, it's an indicator of the heart's condition, it truly is. Because, see, trusting God in the midst of our trials and storms shows him that we count on him and not the world. And for so many of us who've counted on the world and just said, we're going to eventually get it done, we're going to do this, I know it's going to help, and you're always disappointed. This is why you're always disappointed. Because you're dependent on the world and not God. And trust me, I've had those situations time and time again. I would be in a position and life was going good. And then I'll be like, okay, well, thank you, God, for getting me this far. I got it. Always end up in disaster. Always. So now I just fully trust in what he's going to do. That's not to say that I don't have my doubts sometimes. That's not to say that I don't have my fears sometimes. That's not to say that, I be having these conversations with him like, oh, okay, Lord, I need some help. I need some understanding. This is how I feel. But this is where relationship with him comes into play. You need to be able to tell him those things because he already knows them. He knows them. And the reason he knows them, and I'm going to stress this again, and I'm going to stress this how many ever times I need to. He formed us in his likeness and image, and he breathed the breath of life into us. We are the carbon copy of him in the flesh. So therefore, he knows. He knows every hurt. He knows every want. He knows every desire, good, bad, and indifferent. He knows when we are just thinking of revenge. And I've always been very, very open about me and my walk, and sometimes my struggle with my walk. And for people who know me, who really, really know me, I'm talking about before Juanita was really saved and, was really getting her life together. There's a petty side of me that would just relish in that. And so as he has, healed me through hurts, from childhood hurts, and has begun to build me up, I realized that holding on to those petty ways and wanting to get back and revenge and all of that, I didn't need to do any of that. He had it. So as I slowly began to let those things go, because it was a form of me trying to control things and allow him to be in the driver's seat, it all works out. Now, trust me, it's difficult to trust. It can be. But let's just stop saying that it's difficult. Let's stop saying that it's hard. Let's just start acting and doing. We should already know that because we believe, because we're deciding to follow God, because we've decided to do certain things, the enemy's is coming for us. The minute we step out of the realm of where the enemy thinks he has us, and he sees that we are walking and we're going to be, he knows that the minute we get to where we got to be, we're going to destroy him. He is coming after us. So let's accept that that's what's going to happen. And let's stop saying and put in the atmospheres that it's hard, that it's difficult, it's a struggle. Yes, it is. That's implied. But let's stop giving weight and power to those words. We're going to stop doing that. So we're just going to start doing and move it forward. Because see, when we think about when the choice comes to choose to make things work by the means of this world offers, or to rely on God, I'm going to choose God. I'm choosing God hands down. Because he has shown me time after time after time again that he is going to always look out. He's always got my back. He is never going to allow his word to return void. His purpose must move forward. So we don't have to worry about what if this doesn't happen? What if he don't do that? That's not going to happen with him. Not at all. You know, part of me wonders, if part of the difficulties in our life are for this very reason, so that we learn to trust in God. Did you ever think that sometimes maybe we have trials and some tribulations and some heartaches and some, struggles just so that we can get on that path to trusting Him? Sometimes things has to happen to kind of shake us up, to make us do right, to make us be right. Because if left to our own devices, sometimes it doesn't happen. I know me. You give me too many options, I'm going to take the path of least resistance. I've always done that. So sometimes God has to nudge, or He has to allow things to happen so that He brings you to where He needs you to be when He needs you to be there. So times when you think about, why am I going through this? What is the purpose of this? What is going on? I remember about 5-6 years ago when I really hit rock bottom, when I really, really hit it. And I had no choice but to trust in God. And it was like, it had to be an all or nothing situation. And when you hit a rock bottom, only thing you can do is go up. But you can try to get up there. When you look and you are in the bottom of this pit, and you don't see but a glimmer of light, and you don't know how you're going to get out of it, and you think about how you're trying to, in your mind, figure, how am I going to get out of this? And in the beginning, you start calculating all the different ways you can get out of it, how much you have to climb, how long it would have to take. And then you come to the realization that there's only one person that can bring you out of it. And once you come to that realization, and once you accept it, and once you decide that, it's only going to be Him, He begins to just do what He does. Because at that point, you've tried everything that you could do. You have no choice but to trust Him and lean on Him, and just to allow Him to be in the driver's seat. So sometimes we have situations where that has to happen so that we can get a greater understanding of where God is moving us to. Even today, how the enemy just always tries to attack when I'm preparing for stuff, when I'm preparing to read His word, when I'm preparing to study, when I'm preparing for devotionals. It's just like he'll do things like, all of a sudden the craziness begins to ensue. Technology begins to fail. I can't find certain things, time, whatever. People decide to call in the process while I'm preparing and things like that. All of those things that he tries to do to get me off kilter. And, I just was like, you know what? I'm not even going to give you the acknowledgement that you're craving, because it's all for attention. It's all for what can I get out of it? It's all for how can I do this and how can I do that? That's what that is for. So because of that, I ignore him. And his little name is Gremlin. I hate the little gremlin. I despise him. I do. Because at the end of the day, he will do anything and everything to try to get his way. And you know what? I ain't got time for that. I just don't. I don't. I ain't got an ounce of time for his little gremlin ways. So when I say gremlin, if y'all remember the movies Gremlin and remember how they only could function in the dark. And once they got sunlight or anything like that, they disappeared. There was no way in ifs or buts they couldn't live in the daylight. Well, we got to understand something. This little gremlin can do both. Even though he does his best work in the dark, he can go, back and forth in between times, because that is how the little gremlin works. He just does. So you can't give him any reverence. You can't give him any light. You can't give him any shine. You can't give him any attention. Like, we have to begin to starve that attention, because he's an attention seeker. So this is where I say we have to learn key verses. We have to study the Bible so that when he comes at us, we can battle him with word. If you think about Jesus and Jesus's walk on this earth, he didn't talk to Satan directly. Even though he had all power, everything he ever spoke to Satan was his Father's word. I want you to think about that. He was all power, all God, all deity, even in his human state. He could have cursed him. He could have gotten rid of Satan with just a blink. He didn't use his own words. He used his Father's word. And so if Jesus used his Father's word, that means we have to know his Father's word to use it. So I want you to choose today to be someone committed to the calling, the purpose, and the God-ordained direction on your life. Now, many won't choose this path. And though, some may say, I choose it, but, I don't know how to get around it. It's your purpose to do so. Like, God is going to paint your story in such vibrant colors, but it's only reserved for those who are faithful, only reserved for those who have relationship, only reserved for those who trust him wholeheartedly and is completely and fully committed to him. So these are my questions for you guys this evening. Like, are you facing a battle that calls for you to trust God explicitly? Maybe someone is trying to assassinate your character. Maybe there's a situation at work, that is, pertaining. Maybe there's an illness. Maybe, there's, family strife, whatever it is. I want you to reflect, your heart to reflect on the commitment that you've given God. Now, what I will do is I will put this in also a daily personal reflection in the group, because I want you to really, really think on these things. I want you to really think about, what is it that's causing me, not to really fully trust him? What am I going through at this point in time that I'm just doubting if he has my back, or, not fully giving my all in all trust to him? What is it that's going on in my life? And I want you to write those things down. And I want you to pray over those things. And then I want you to seek God and have a conversation with him, and go into your quiet space and have that conversation with him and allow him to pour into you. Ask him, how can I trust you fully? What are the things that I need to do? What needs to be removed from my life so that I can trust you without having doubts, or without always backing up once the process is started, So, and when you do that, again, like I said, let him meditate to you, let him pour into you, because when we just say these things and we don't really converse with him and seek him and study and allow him to give us the answers that we need to move forward, we continually repeat the same issues in the process. And then we get so tired of it. We're like, okay, God, I get it. I know I got to do this. I know I got to do that. Why is it that I'm still fighting this? Why is it that I can't get this together? Why is it that I'm still battling the source of what is going on? So seek him, ask yourself these questions, write them in your journal, write them in your journal, write them in your journal. Most of you, if you've been with us for a while, you should be on your second or third journal. And again, like I've always said, don't buy a fancy journal. Get a 5-subject notebook, a single subject notebook, dollar store. Look, back to school is going to be starting soon for some. Oh my goodness, that is the perfect time to stock up. Walmart, get notebooks so that you can really have something to write, and reflect, so that you, in the times that you're going through, you can reflect back on where you were to where you're going, and you can give yourself hope, and you can pour into, and it's also to leave a legacy to your children and your grandchildren, because they have to understand that this is a process as well. And you can help equip them with the things that they need to move forward. So again, choose today to be committed to your call, your purpose, and the direction that God has placed on your life. It is so worth the process. It is so worth the journey when we fully trust him and fully give to him and fully allow him to do the things that only he can do. Now, I'm going to tell you this. Sometimes you may slip up. Sometimes you may have a bad day. Sometimes that may happen. That's okay. That is absolutely okay. It's all right. You're going to be fine. So again, what I want you to do, and it will be in the group, is to write down what is going on. Write 3 to 5 things about what is going on in your life right now that is hindering or blocking your ability to trust in God and in his process. And then seek him and allow him to pour into you, and write down what he gives you to do, because it will all be a part of the process, all a part of the process. I want to thank you for joining us this evening for How God Perceives Your Trust. We will be back here tomorrow at 8:15 p.m. Tomorrow's Thursday, so of course our Thursdays, we're always here at 8:15 p.m. I definitely want to thank all of those who are on Facebook, who's on Periscope, Twitch, YouTube, and our broadcast partners, GMAP Broadcast Network. As we said, God is definitely, expanding and moving our territory. If you are also seeking or need prayer, there is a link to our prayer requests. Myself and Minister Peterson are always constantly praying for you on a consistent basis, and we want to make sure that, everything that you need, God supplies. Also, if you are looking for us on Facebook and you're not a part of the group, if you're on Facebook and you are not a part of the group, you can find the group at YV Daily Devotionals. That's Y as in yellow, V as in Victor, Daily Devotionals. You will also see that information on the end credits. Just go ahead, come on and join the group. All of the bonus content is there. All of the resources are there. We have a wealth of resources, for you to learn scriptures, just things about Bible study, everything that you would need to begin your process and journey of beginning to put on the full armor of God so that you can be victorious in this time. So again, hope you have a wonderful evening. I want you to be blessed. Know that we love all of you and we're praying for all of you. We will be back here tomorrow. Again, tomorrow at 8:15 p.m. Thank you. Be blessed and have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Good night.